How's it, everybody, and welcome back to my show. And today I'm going to be talking about another game that I love so much, and this one is called Fighting Fantasy, as it's known in Japan, but in the US it's called Hippodrome. Very cool game, and also made by Data East. And I don't know, I think I've got a thing for Data East games. This game was released in 1989, but anyway, let's play this game and see where it takes us. You have entered the Hippodrome. Once a year there is a worldwide competition to determine the best fighter on the planet. The winner must have the strongest combination of power and skill. Creatures are gathering all over the planet to find out who will be this year's champion. You now have the chance to test your skill against the world's best. Be prepared. So the first time I saw this game, I was very young. It might have been late 80s and early 90s. I was staying in Mayton with my buddy Thomas and my buddy Llewellyn, and there was a strip mall in Mayton called Golf Park, and there were a couple of games outside. I remember Street Fighter 2, Pit Fighter, Wonder Boy 3, and one of those games was also Fighting Fantasy, and we were always at that strip mall playing those games. So the game came out in 1989. The moves are fairly basic, but awesome nonetheless. It's one of the first times you could really fight a few characters, get money, buy different weapons to beat the bigger bosses. The moves are as follows. There are no special moves or anything like that. It's just your different directions that you push to hit with your sword, like diagonally up, diagonally down, forward, crouching and hitting. And one different thing is if you jump over the character's head and push down with your hit button, it does almost like a Raston type of stab, which is really cool. And I also forgot to mention that if you push hit and back, it's block. And sometimes it tends to get in the way of your movement and striking at your enemy. But nonetheless, I never even used blocks throughout the whole game to finish it. The game uses strategy to beat different characters when you find weakness in their movement or their attacks. I really tend to like the characters that they've put in this game, and knowing it's a Data East game, I remember doing a video on Mutant Fighters, which came out in 1991, also by Data East, and I love the way that they choose their characters and make their characters such bizarre creatures I've never seen before. You're talking about warriors with swords, lizard men, snake women, scorpion men, dragons, sorcerers, giants, and so forth and so forth. I love it. I really hope to see if they would make action figures out of these characters, because it's really awesome. Or even maybe do a reboot of this game, but with the technology and the graphics that we have nowadays. I can clearly see I've got a thing for Data East games, but the thing I like about Data East is they almost have like a fingerprint of their work. Like you'll see they use some characters in some of the games, they'll use even the music from one game and put it in another game, but just the style of how they do things, you can see it's a Data East game. If I can recall some Data East games out of the back of my mind, like Hippodrome, Mutant Fighters, Dragon Ninja, Wild Fang, Shadow Warriors, and many more. And another thing I'd like to mention is I also love to collect game books, and one of the brands of game books that I like to collect is also called Fighting Fantasy. So I don't know if there's like a link between the game and the books, because they were both around at the same time. The game came out in 1989, and these books, I think the first one that was published was in 1982. But love them, and I'll send pics Nana to show you guys of these books that have been with me since those times till now. I must admit, the game is not easy. After your first 3 characters, you are going to struggle to beat the rest of the guys, but with enough playing and enough practice, you start to get to learn the game and the tricks, and you'll start to find out how to beat certain enemies or certain weapons and things like that. But it took me quite a while, but eventually I got it right, and it's such a cool game. Very weird, very bizarre, and plays on the different type of things that were popular around at that time. So I urge all of you, if you guys come across this game, give it a shot, try it out, play it. I just hope that this game is not forgotten, and somewhere in someone along the line will remember this game and give it a cool reboot, because a new versus game like this would really be cool. So I think I've come to this point where I've said all that I could say about this game. So I'm just gonna treat the rest of this game as a walkthrough and give it unto you guys. We'll speed things up a little bit so it goes a little bit faster. But thanks for the view, guys. Cheers. Yes, clock the game. You have defeated all your challenges and become the champion. As this year's champion, the kingdom, its queen, and a life of peace are yours until next year, when you must defend your championship. This year you face the world's best at one. For now, the fighting is over, but there's always a new challenge. Wait until you see next year's opponents. So there we go, finally finished with the game, and I really struggled with that last guy. He started really to become a pain, but nonetheless finally overcame him, and yeah, really impressed with the game. Fairly simple movement, but one of the first type of games where you can fight against your enemies versus games and sort of buy things to improve your stats at that time that I can remember of. Just glad to make this video and accomplish a goal that I've been setting for myself. So I'm really waiting for a crazy haul to come in, so stay tuned for my next episode. And if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Until next time, guys, cheers.